shape, powered by drives. They do not specify the drives, but I think these were a miniature version of the much bigger electromagnetogravitic or tachyon drives, as they were calling them. And these are low-level photographs, the first real photographs of such craft in low-level flights over the testing grounds in Germany. It's probably the autumn of 1944. The leaves are gone from the trees. And here they move at really slow speed, because at fast speed you can't catch anything on the camera. They did not have, at that time probably, radar-coupled cameras that would have a radar lock on the craft and provide an almost flawless tracking. They show high G maneuvers, because in order to shoot down, to look down and shoot down, they had to be able to incline the craft and to be able to look down first in order to shoot down with the cannon. They wanted to show off to the observing commission on the ground that the craft was really very maneuverable and agile. In this photograph we can see the head of the pilot through the transparent perspex cupola of the craft. A very steep maneuver. Possibly the craft is moving in this direction upward because of all the edges. These and these edges are blurred. This happens usually with the edges, with the attacking and the trailing edge of the craft.
What are those lines underneath?
Parts of the drive. In this enlarged photograph, we see an even better picture of the pilot inside. These two dark spots here could be the sunglasses that the pilot was wearing. The craft could go 2,900 kilometers in the atmosphere, almost 2 times the speed of sound. It definitely had exoatmospheric and orbital capabilities. And I have a suspicion that these were free energy craft that did not need any fuel to fly. Once they were started and put in motion, I mean their gravity drives were activated, they did not need any more fuel to run. On the underside of the craft, this is an inverted slide, but we see the 02. This is probably the second prototype. This is the platform where they were mounting the cannon, the remote control cannon. This thing here I thought is I said, well, where's the second lightning bolt of the SS? I thought this is a kind of a new SS symbol or something. Then, even the authors of the film did not know what this thing denoted. The crafts were named Vril, and Vril in Germanic language means the life force. Basically, craft utilizing the never exhaustible, always automatically replenishable life force. And then in a book on ancient occult, German occult traditions, they had a chart of the runic characters, and this is the runic character for the life force. So it all drives together. The name of the craft, Vril, the meaning of the word Vril, and the pictorial symbol on the bottom all mean the same thing, the life force. So we were able to decipher this little puzzle here. 17 of the Vrils were produced. Quite probably they were tested quietly, low-key testing, and then they were flown to the German South Polar colony. We will talk about it in detail pretty soon. Bigger craft, the Honeywell 2 type craft, which were 25 meter diameter, about 75 meter diameter tank killers, were also produced. They had one big drive, a ball in the middle, which was a tachyon drive, an electromagnetogravitic drive, which they were calling the tachyon drives. The Thule tachyonators. The Thule tachyon drives were produced on assembly lines. They had an assembly line production of tachyon drives in their AEG and Siemens plants in 44 and 45. With all these bombings going on, I mean, one is literally amazed how the Germans were able to cope with all of these things. A friend of mine who knew a Russian, he burst as a soldier. I mean, the Russians were astonished to find in May of 45, just a week before the war ended, 10 days before the war ended, the phone system was working in Berlin. And if a bomb hit somewhere, they would just announce on the radio, now citizens, please plug your phones into the electrical outlets. They have devised a way to double the electrical outlet as a phone line. So if your phone lines goes bad, then you just move your phone and you plug it into the electrical outlet. And they had, the German lady was on the phone when the Russian soldier burst in, fighting few hundred yards from the Imperial Chancellery in the middle of the war, I mean, at the end of the war in Berlin. The phones were running. I mean, this is the efficiency of the German industry, without being a neo-Nazi or a pro-German. I repeat, I'm a Slav here and a Nazi buster. But we have to give them their due for their efficiency. So in these underground caverns, they had more than enough space and fantasy and guts to build all these incredible flying machines. Armaments were added. These are machine guns in 3 turrets. The craft looks like the Adamski craft, and soon there would be a debunking article in the newspapers claiming that either this is a hoax from the Adamski source, or either the Adamski craft are hoax from the German source. But a careful examination, if we put the 2 photographs together, the Adamski craft doesn't have this ball in the middle. It has only 3 balls, and in the Adamski craft, these are the condenser balls, the balls of the drive system. In the German craft, this is the drive system in the middle, and these are the gun turret, the machine gun turrets. And there is another, more flattened turret on the rooftop. These were, and we can see low-level flights, probably the autumn, early autumn of 44, the leaves are still on the trees. This visible asymmetricity here, if we divide a craft, it looks like the cabin has been blown backward by a strong wind, or it's kind of a cake melting in our refrigerator, just taken out of the fridge. This is a very difficult, I mean, few hoaxers would do a hoax like this, showing an asymmetrical craft, because they would think they would be immediately accused of fraud. However, on the Adamski craft, because of the tremendous intensity of the electromagnetic field around the craft, there would be some very interesting light effect phenomena that we know nothing about in the, well, I can only speculate, but probably in the secret government science, they know very well everything about these phenomena. But anyway, this distortion comes from the very intensive magnetic electromagnetic field around the craft. On this photograph, we see some of the armaments here clearly visible. Something is sticking menacingly from the underside of the craft. A shot from the underside shows the Luftwaffe cross, either the 4 legs or 4 small machine gun turrets, and something that looks very suspicious, something here that we would see very soon resembles like a tank turret with a gun sticking out. These were really the tank killers of the Hollywood II type. They were designed to fight whole tank armies. The skeptics would say, well, it's impossible to, what a stupid idea. It's impossible to put a tank turret on a saucer because it would never lift off. A tank turret is about 10-15 tons. It's alone is 2/3 or maybe half the weight of the tank. However, the Germans claimed that these craft were 100 tons in weight, armed with brute steel plates. They did not have developed at the time the force field shields around the craft that they developed later on. That's why they were relying on brute steel armor. But the whole craft being 100 tons in weight,